Okay, let's jump right in. Welcome to this explainer. Today, we are cutting through the massive mountain of hype around AI agents and vibe coding. I'm going to be walking you through our source material, breaking down these heavy concepts so that literally anyone, even if you just wrote your very first prompt today, can completely understand them and, more importantly, actually apply them to your own projects. So let's get to it. Look, I know we've all been here, right? You toss a super casual prompt at an AI, ask for a quick little feature, and suddenly, bam, you're spending 3 hours at 2 a.m. trying to untangle a massive mess of completely hallucinated code. It's the worst. But today, we're officially moving past that frustrating guessing game. We're going to map out the exact path from that chaotic experimentation to structured, rock-solid engineering. And this brings us to a huge realization. The primary job of a software builder, it's fundamentally shifting. We aren't just dealing with syntax anymore. We are guiding intelligent systems. I mean, for decades, we practically had to speak to computers using curly braces, semicolons, and strict grammar, right? But that era is fading out fast. The whole new paradigm is about expressing what we want to build and just letting the machine figure out the how. You really have to stop and think about how insanely fast this evolution is happening. Back in 2021, AI was basically just an advanced autocorrect, guessing your next few characters. Fast forward to today, we literally have autonomous systems that can clone an entire project, plan the architecture, test the code, and submit it without a human typing a single line. It's a completely exponential leap. But to actually use these systems effectively, we really need to nail down what an AI agent actually is. Because a traditional ChatGPT prompt, it just answers you and stops. An agent, on the other hand, is given a top-level goal and it works continuously. It loops through perceiving, planning, acting, and observing. It makes its own step-by-step decisions until the job is fully done. Think of it kind of like a smart robot vacuum. It doesn't just drive blind, right? It bumps into a wall, realizes its path is blocked, replans, and turns around. That self-correcting loop, that is the absolute beating heart of modern AI. If an agent writes a piece of code, runs it, and hits an error, it doesn't just throw its hands up and quit. It loops back, rewrites it, and tries again. So that brings us to the core conflict of the whole explainer: vibe coding versus agentic engineering. Vibe coding is that casual chaos we talked about earlier. You write a prompt, eyeball the result to see if it, kind of seems to work, and you move on. And hey, it's great for quick disposable scripts. But agentic engineering, that is a whole different ballgame. That relies on strict blueprints, automated tests, and rigorous quality checks. Now, keep in mind, these aren't strict binaries. They sit on a sliding spectrum. The real differentiator here isn't whether or not you use AI, it's simply how your outputs are verified. As a builder, you have to decide where your specific project lives. Hacking together a quick weekend prototype, pure vibe coding is perfectly fine. But building a production payment gateway, yeah, that demands the strict structure of agentic engineering for sure. To actually move across that spectrum and engineer with AI, you absolutely need two types of verification: tests and evals. Tests check the predictable stuff, kind of like a math problem. Given input A, did it produce exact output B? But AI is inherently creative, so we also need evals, or evals for short. Evals check the logic, more like grading an essay. Did the AI use the right tools? Did it take a logical path to get the answer? Without both of these, honestly, you're just hoping for the best. Now, the real secret sauce to making your AI actually smart is what we call context engineering. Think of static context like an employee handbook. These are the core rules and guardrails the AI must always keep in its head. It's totally necessary, but it's expensive to process. Dynamic context, though, is like giving the AI a filing cabinet. It only pulls out specific tools or documents when a specific task actually requires them. That's what keeps the system incredibly fast and efficient. So, welcome to your new job. You're no longer handcrafting every single widget on the workbench. You are now managing the entire factory floor. The modern developer designs the assembly line itself. You're writing the blueprints, setting the safety guardrails, and building those automated testing stations that catch bad code and immediately kick it back to the AI for a rewrite. And here's a massive light bulb moment from the source material. There is this huge temptation to think that simply plugging in the newest, smartest AI model instantly gives you a great agent. But that is a total trap. An agent is actually a combination of two things: the model and the harness. The model by itself, it's just a raw floating brain. And that raw brain is entirely useless without a harness. If the AI model is the engine, the harness provides the car, the steering wheel, the road, and the traffic laws. It's the secure sandbox where the code is safely executed. It's the memory it uses to remember past mistakes. And it's the tools it uses to actually interact with the real world. Get ready for this, because this is a pretty stunning reality. Nearly 90% of an agent's success comes from the harness you build around it, not just the underlying AI model. Seriously, when an agent fails, our very first instinct is to blame the AI, to say it's just dumb. But if you look closely, that failure almost always traces back to your harness. It's a missing tool, a vague instruction, or maybe a guardrail you just forgot to put in place. Because AI writes code so unbelievably quickly, the entire way we build software, the whole software development lifecycle, gets turned completely on its head. The actual implementation phase shrinks from weeks down to literally minutes. But because of that speed, the human bottlenecks shift. Your focus is no longer on typing out logic. It shifts entirely to writing crystal clear requirements at the start and conducting really deep quality reviews at the end. And as you do this, you will inevitably slam into what we call the 80% problem. The AI is going to sprint through the bulk of the typing, getting you 80% of the way there incredibly fast. But that last 20%, the weird edge cases, the complex integrations, that super nuanced business logic, yeah, that still heavily requires human judgment. Your job now is to save your mental energy for that final 20%. So to tackle that tricky 20%, you really need to know exactly where to deploy your AI tools throughout your day. You might use an agent directly inside your code editor when you want quick inline suggestions without breaking your flow. Or you might launch a terminal agent when you need to explore and edit multiple files at once. And then you hand off the massive, time-consuming tasks to a background agent, just letting it churn away while you sleep. To pull all of this off, you essentially have to adopt a brand new mindset. You must fluidly switch between two very distinct personas, the conductor and the orchestrator. Depending on exactly what you're building in the moment, you will need to adopt entirely different modes of interacting with the machine. Let's break those down. First, when you need immediate hands-on control, you become the conductor. This is you guiding the AI pair programmer line by line right there in your editor. It's real-time, it's highly synchronous, and you maintain keystroke-level control. This is exactly the mode you want to be in when you're exploring an unfamiliar codebase, debugging a really stubborn issue, or rapidly prototyping a brand new idea. But on the flip side, when the task is large and well-defined, you step back and become the orchestrator. You delegate high-level goals to background agents and you simply review their final work. In this mode, your core skill isn't typing at all. It's defining tasks with absolute precision and designing the automated tests that will mathematically prove the agent actually did its job. So what does this all mean for us? Well, the age of just blindly typing syntax is pretty much over. It's being replaced by the ability to clearly express intent and build truly robust systems. As you leave behind the chaos of vibe coding, you've got a choice to make. When you sit down to solve that persistent 80% problem on your very next project, how are you going to manage the machine? Will you be the hands-on conductor or the high-level orchestrator? Ultimately, the reliability of your software depends entirely on your answer.